Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 11th. Today used to be called Armistice Day. It was the day that World War I was over. It represented peace in the world. And later on, it was changed to Veterans Day. So today is Veterans Day. But there's no peace in the world. There's a fight going on with a terrible virus. And in the United States, we have an internal war going on. A war that has been spurred by a president who refuses to accept the will of the people of the United States. 75 million people voted for his opponent. And yes, he did get 70 million, but he cannot accept anything that remotely resembles a defeat. He should be proud of the fact that he ruled this country for 4 years. He did a terrible job, but for whatever reason, 70 million people are still on his side. And this awful war, this internal war that we are waging right now, in the midst of a pandemic that won't go away, is awful. His minions, his lackeys, his toadies have started to gather all kinds of excuses, claiming fraudulent ballots, claiming a monumental fraud in the election. And you can say anything you want in this country, and they have, but we haven't seen a scintilla of proof yet. And what's even worse is that members of his own party refuse to step forward and congratulate the victor. They're hanging with him. They are enemies of the people. People like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and Newt Gingrich, all voicing unfound evidence that there was fraud. There was no fraud in this election. And then Bill Barr has unleashed the Justice Department investigators to go find this fraud. Now, the Justice Department has no business intervening in this affair. Voting in this country is governed by the states. It's the states' responsibility to ensure that the votes are proper. And we had people watching the polls of all denominations, all colors, all creeds, all sexes, all parties, all Republicans, Democrats, independent, watching the polls. And nobody stepped forward and said there was fraud, there was a ballot stolen and changed or thrown in the waste paper basket. And there were no waste paper baskets. And these people were working in a place where cameras were running 24 hours a day, watching them work. But no, on Armistice Day, on Veterans Day, we have an internal war going on in this country. And why do we need this turmoil? Why has the president instructed the woman who was in charge of the transition team, of helping the transition, to refuse to do her job, to provide President-elect Biden with the resources to start the transition? And Biden is up and running. He's putting together this pandemic task force. He's taking action. He wants to get his job done. He wants to get rolling. And who is in his way? A mean-spirited outgoing president. A man who refuses to accept the fact that he lost an election. So here we are on Armistice Day with a war of our own that we're fighting. And why? Why? Because somebody is unhappy. And reports have come down that even his wife and his son-in-law advisor have told him he should concede, but he won't concede. He's got another faction in his family telling him to fight on. For what reason? For what reason? Just to soothe his ego? He would be venerated if he stepped up to the plate and hugged Joe Biden and said, "Good luck to you. I'm leaving you a country in great economic shape. Look at all the wonderful things I've done for you. You will have very little work to do in this country. Why did he step forward and say something like that? Because he can't see anything like it. He's incapable of performing like a decent human being. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. And it's going to drag on. I don't know how long it'll drag on. I don't know how long the Supreme Court or the other courts are going to take to vindicate the population of this country that voted fairly. So here we are on Armistice Day fighting an internal war that's unconscionable. So I don't know what else I can tell you about this. We'll just have to let it play out. But it's a stain on our history. However, it will turn out okay. And when it's over, people will say, well, democracy worked because they got the bottom of this. They got to the bottom of this. And Joe Biden won the election fair and square. I leave you with all these miserable thoughts today, hoping that it won't take too long to get us to the next phase in our life. We do have a vaccine that appears to be ready to be released. So that's the good thing. The bad thing is that we have to wait and let this so-called fraud conspiracy play itself out. So I leave you with that, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.